You're listening to another episode of the Coaster101 podcast. I'm Andrew Stillwell, and I am joined by two of the best roller coaster photographers in the game this week. First, we're going to introduce Scott Schaffer of Upstop Media. Scott is actually a past podcast guest. Scott, how's it going? Welcome back.
Oh, I'm doing awesome. How are you, sir?
Can't complain. I'm talking to you guys. What are you talking about? Excellent. It's a great night.
Well, that's a good reason to complain, actually.
And yes, maybe. That's a good point. But also joining Scott on the podcast this week, he asked me to say this before I introduced him, a 3-time winner of the Coaster101 photo contest. Also the co-host of the former Twisted Travelers podcast, currently on hiatus. Right, Jack?
Probably on very, very long-term hiatus, but yes.
Okay, well, go back into their podcast episodes. There was a really good episode with me, and so I'm returning the favor. And Jack Lathrop also joining us on the podcast. Jack, how are you?
I'm doing wonderful. I get to talk to you, make fun of Scott on the podcast. What could be better?
Exactly. It's going to be a good time. We're going to have a really good time. As I mentioned, you guys are, again, two of the best, most, I would argue, well-known roller coaster photographers out there. Scott, obviously, with Upstop Media. You got your start with Coaster Force kind of doing their videos, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, I actually got started before that. I was kind of doing some photography, videography on my own. And I actually met East Coaster General, the guy who basically ran the channel. And he was really impressed by my work. And so he decided to bring me on the channel. I mean, it took years for him to, kind of be like, okay, this is, it's the time. You had to make sure you had the right person. And, so I really had to prove myself to him, but I'm glad I put in the time. And, now we're just doing incredible projects.
Yeah. And so you kind of have helped grow the Upstop Media brand a little bit. What is Upstop Media kind of about? And I know there is an old interview deep in the Coaster101 archives that we will link in the show notes. But for those who don't know Upstop Media, what are you all about?
Okay, so I mean, basically we put cameras on rides to get really cool video. That's always been kind of like my fun tagline. But I really like to work within the attractions industry, and I like to turn rides into art. You know what I mean? So whether it's like a photo, a video, anything like that, I just like to showcase a ride as like a thing of beauty. And I also like my point of view videos to kind of represent that as well. So, we basically work with a lot of ride manufacturers, theme parks, various publications. It's just, we've been incredibly blessed to kind of have these opportunities and to grow it as well. So.
Got it. And then Jack, how did you kind of get your start? Obviously people may know you from your Instagram handle, Thrilling Moments. But where did you get your start? How did you first start, photographing roller coasters?
It was a complete and stupid happy accident. So a lot of people are familiar with the Coaster Stock event that Kings Island puts on every year. It's usually in May, like mid-May range. And this was back in 2017. I had the realization in bed last night. I was just laying there. I was like, holy crap, I've been doing this we're getting closer to a decade now than I would like to admit.
Jack, you're 19 years old. Stop.
I know. But then I found out that, So 2017, Mystic Timbers, and they're like, hey, we're taking all behind the scenes of Beast and Diamondback, and what was the other ride that year? I know Beast and Diamondback were the two. They were like, we're taking you on walkback tours. And, as a coaster enthusiast, it's like, oh, this will be cool. I'll have my phone, but I kind of want to take like an actual camera and get some cool pictures of these things from angles you usually can't get. And so I went to my grandma, as most, I was like, hey, I know you've got a little camera. Can I take it on a trip to Kings Island and get some pictures with it? And she's like, sure, because she loves me, I think. I think.
Is it unconditional?
I hope.
Shout out to
And
Jack's
so
grandmother who's listening to this podcast right now, by the way.
she probably will listen to this. I'll be perfectly honest. She stalks my Instagram and Twitter, so she probably will.
I love it. 5-star reviews, Grandma. Thank you.
And so, yeah, we're on this, we're doing the behind the scenes tours, and I got like maybe one or two okay pictures. I didn't know anything about photography, but I was like, I kind of like this. And so we got home from that trip, and I went to my parents, and I was like, hey, I know we have an old camera. Can I like take it on the couple other trips we're going to do this summer to the beach, Dollywood days and stuff like that? And they were like, okay, I guess. They never got that camera back. It's locked up. That's actually not here with me. It's actually at my other place where I keep camera stuff. But they never got the camera back. And then from there, I just kind of started taking it everywhere. It went to Dollywood, Kings Island, Universal, Carowinds. Then it went on my massive coaster road trip. And that was kind of around the time I was like, hey, I should actually post some of these pictures. And then it just kind of spiraled out of control. I remember, like, it took forever to get the ball rolling, but then once it started picking up, I fell in love with the photography side of it, and I fell in love with the sharing of the pictures because the reactions you get out of the people are hilarious.
Oh, they're good. And again, Jack's Instagram and Scott's Instagram too, to a different extent, they've got some of the most insane, creative, well done photography and videography on them, and we will link to their accounts, but we'll have them plug them at the end as well. But Scott, I'll start with you. Like, since you got your start, again, presumably it was longer ago than 5 years when you first got your start filming rides. But how is the hobby and I guess later a business progressed for you over your time filming rides?
Yeah. So, I mean, I took a lot of influence in actually a former roommate and very close friend of mine who was just a fantastic photographer. And, he was always there to kind of answer questions and help me not only, develop my my photography skills, but also help me, gave you kind of pointers as to how to turn photography into a business. And, he's just an incredible photographer as well. He's one of those where, like, if you see one of his photos, you know that it's his photo. You know what I mean? It just, he's almost branded himself with his style, and it's just, it's awesome. So, like, that really kind of helped me push this into hey, I can maybe get a paycheck doing this. And, I just started kind of pitching and, just trying to make connections and, challenge myself, build bigger projects, things like that.
Got it. And Jack, kind of the same thing. Obviously you talked about it a little bit, but you started with the camera in your grandmother's basement or wherever it was, but presumably you've evolved a little bit past that first DSLR camera. I
mean, I still shoot with a DSLR. It's right here. I actually have it out because it's going with me to an event later tonight. But I went from having no clue what a DSLR was or stood for to now I geek out about them quite all the time. For instance, Nikon announced a new lens today that I'm drooling over, but it cost more than my car does, so don't think I'm buying it anytime soon.
Probably be a car payment just to rent it too.
Yeah, definitely would be a car payment just to rent it. So yeah, it's been a giant jump over time. Also just learning, when you go to a park with an idea, it's like, what does that take? Like when you email a park and be like, hey, I want to take pictures, usually that doesn't go well, but if you pitch them a cool idea, then they might bite. So that's been another big thing I've learned, just here's how you present yourself, because there's a ton of theme park photographers. It's one of the challenges of what we do is there's a ton of us.
Mm-hmm.
You guys should try writing for a blog. There's none of them. There's actually a ton of them, and there's a ton of podcasts. So thank you guys.
Yeah, there are a ton of podcasts.
Yeah, it's okay.
This is like a homecoming for me. You don't feels natural.
Well, we're happy to have you back anytime. But Jack, you were talking about the kind of pitching yourself. Was there like a moment or like a big break that you got that was, that you're like, I have made it, like this is a serious thing now?
There's been a couple of moments where I've realized, but to answer that, I'll go with like the moment I realized that it could be more than just a hobby. Was the first time I got an email about using pictures for like a publication that was like not just some like online like Instagram, oh, reply if we can use this photo, or can we use, like, not that. It was like actually getting an email from a publishing company that has a theme park magazine. Can we use your photos? We'll pay you XXX. And that, like, that email coming through was the moment I was like, wait, there's actually like a chance this could do something. And then agreeing to do all of that, and then so all of that was like super surreal. And then like I think my mom has a video of the magazine arriving in the mail and me getting to take it out and look at it, and it's like, there's my photo, it's on the cover, they put it on the cover. And so I have that.
You gonna name the magazine?
I will. It is Crimes Park Review. It's a German magazine. They were super nice, super friendly to work with. Also, the backstory to this, and this is something I've been telling a lot of people: put your photos on RCDB. Email them. Put your photos on RCDB. It pays to put them on RCDB because that's how they found my photos for the magazine. And they reached out and were like, "Hey, we saw your photos on RCDB. Could we use them?"
There you go.
That's how that went. So put your photos on RCDB. It pays. I promise. I can't guarantee you're going to get on the cover of a magazine, but there's a chance. There's obviously a chance. And yeah, so with that, and so that magazine is on a shadow. It's in a shadow box framed in my room now. It looks like the dorkiest thing ever. It's like, why are you got a magazine framed? But if you know the story, it makes so much sense.
I love it. And Scott, what about you? Kind of, what was your moment where you're like, I could make a semi-living to living doing this?
Oh man. So, like I was just having fun with it, being creative. And then, it was actually, of all people, it was like Fred and like his daughter, and they were like, hey, we need some work for RMC. We need some, whatever. And I was like I nearly like dropped the phone, you know what I mean, at that point, because I had like known them, just like, hanging out, whatever, on like more of like a social, but then they were like, hey, we actually want to like, get with you on like a project. I mean, I literally like almost dropped the phone. And yeah, that's kind of what like started it off. And then they're like, hey, like we gotta do this. Can you get us a quote? I was like, yes, and I was like, okay, and then I just, I've been doing this a long time. I've got a lot of, like a lot of connections and like old friends in the industry and stuff. And I'm just looking around like, man, all these people that work in the industry, I wonder if anybody could, help me out here. Anybody could kind of give me like a tip or a pointer and stuff. And, as people like, I mean, you've had Adam Sandy on the show before, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Adam Sandy's a great guy.
Yeah. Like he's another one who kind of just really helped me out. Like I can never thank like Adam enough. Mark Rosenswag as well. I mean, just incredible people. But yeah, it was, because of people like that, the connections. And I was just like, oh, wow. Like, okay. Like, I probably can't do it full time yet, but I can at least do it part time. And I don't feel bad taking days off work, because I'm going to be probably making more money doing this anyway. So I basically took gigs as I could. And then I just built it.
Yes.
So.
And not to detract from the photography here, but I do want to talk a little bit about your current gig that I've seen kind of pop up on social media here and there. Is you were driving the amphicars at Disney Springs. What is that experience like?
This is.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I've actually worked at a boathouse a lot. I was a server there. I was a supervisor. When I wanted to pursue this, I was like, hey, I can't be in a management position anymore. It's too many hours. And they have those amphicar rides there. So it's essentially a vintage amphicar. They made these things back in the 60s. They're terrible cars, terrible boats, but they're a lot of fun. We do tours in them. It's like a 20-minute captain guided tour. And it's one of the attractions that's at the boathouse. And so I was like, hey, look, I think I'd be a really good amphicar driver. I can drive stick. I'm not going to be an idiot about it, and I can, I know enough about cars and about, Disney and everything else that I could give these people a good tour. And they were like, sure, go for it. Oh, yeah.
Jack is currently showing Scott's, I think, cover photo on Facebook right now where he's Amphicar is being pushed. We will probably include that in the article about the show, just so you're, with permission, of course.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's one of my favorite photos of all time of myself. But yeah, so basically,
I picture on my phone.
Oh, yeah.
It's like.
And that's why my voice is so shot right now, because I get rowdy in those cars, man. Like, I harass people that are walking by, and I call people out, and I show my people a good time.
I love it.
Roll up next to somebody who's just minding their own business. Hey, did you call the Uber? Like, just and that's like entry level dad joke. The jokes get way deeper from there, but I can't give away my best stuff.
Well, they get way deeper because you're in the water. But
jeez.
Yeah, that was
you'd
bad.
make a great captain.
That'd be awesome.
I fully plan on just one day, even though I know him, I'm harassing him. I'm getting an Amphicar ride for myself, and I'm just going to heckle him the entire time.
Oh, we'll do it. It'll be funny.
It's going to be me and Sloan, and you're going to have to deal with us.
Oh, my God.
Big fan. You just got to...
The thing is, I know this is going to happen, too, and that's the thing. Like, I know you and Sloan are going to show up on a dead day, and I'll be like, oh, God, really?
We're going to pay for like 3 or 4 in a row. We're going to be like, no, we still want Scott. We want Scott again.
Oh, my God.
Welcome aboard Captain Jake's Amity Amphicar Tours. We are the best because we're the only Amphicar tour in Disney Springs.
It's the best ride at Disney without seatbelts.
Hey, there you go. No yellow straps for you. Let's get back into the photography, though. And Scott, you did mention, you're a bit of a car guy. And I know a car collector term for people who collect cars is a daily driver. And so I'm going to equate this really to photography terms here. So like if you're shooting a video on a park, and presumably you have a lot of different video equipment, but what is your go-to old faithful, old reliable camera that you are filming with?
Oh man. Like, am I picking one?
Yeah, sure. If you've got a couple, that's fine.
If I had to pick one camera, it's going to be a GoPro Max all day.
Okay.
GoPro Max. Yeah.
Why GoPro Max?
because I can get GoPro, I get POV shots of myself. I can get a 360. That's essentially 3 videos plus photos off that one camera. And with like the 360 video, you could film a vlog, you could film whatever. And you can kind of direct where the camera goes in post-production because it's a 360 shot. So that's always just like, if I'm like stuck with just one, and I've been in shoots like that where like you can only use one camera. I'm like, well, it's going to be the Max, and I can get like 10 different shots off of one camera essentially,
Love it. And then Jack, from a still photography side, what's your current go-to old reliable, old faithful?
Okay, so my current go-to old reliable is a Nikon D7200, and I got a bunch of lenses for it. But if I'm allowed to pick one camera, I'm going for the Leica Q2.
Why is that?
Because it's the best thing I've ever shot with or seen.
Got it.
It's
an absolute
one of
bonkers
Scott's
camera.
cameras,
It's my favorite.
It's the best like quality you've ever seen, and it's also probably just the most fun camera to shoot with because it's digital, but it's all old school. You just have to know what you're doing to use the camera, and so it's just so much fun to use because it's all hands-on, old school process, but you get quality that's unmatched by pretty much anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a toss-up between that and the Max, and realistically, end of the day, I would have to go for the versatility. But yeah, that camera is a monster, absolute monster, most fun camera. Like, that camera goes everywhere with me. I take that thing everywhere because it's just so fun.
Nice. And Jack, have you ever shot with a film camera, Jack?
Many years ago when I was. It's probably been 7 or 8 years before I was really into photography since I've used one. I own multiple. I just never have an excuse or the time to get them out to a theme park. I'm always saying I'm going to do a Dollywood day where I have to shoot film.
Mm-hmm.
but I've never had the time because usually it comes down to I just can't get up there that much. Or when I do go up there, it's like I haven't been in 3 months. I need to shoot the park again to update the archives, or there's an event happening, or it's a media tour or something. So the actual camera's got to go, and the film day gets pushed back yet again. So all of that to say, it will happen. I'm going to shoot a film or theme park on film eventually. It just hasn't happened yet.
Got it. All right, I want to talk as a amateur theme park photographer myself. I do have my point and shoot. I don't even know what it is. Who knows? It's a point and shoot. It's a digital. Hold it in my hand. I get scared of like attaching lenses to things. I don't know what it is. But
you're like, yeah, it's a Leica Q2 or something. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah.
And then Scott and I are just like, what?
Yes. I don't think it's a power shot, but it could be something close. But I gotta, I want to ask both you guys, what do you see as the biggest mistake an amateur photographer could make in a theme park when taking pictures of roller coasters or thrill rides?
Breaking a rule, breaking a theme park rule. That's a big mistake.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, yes. Always follow the rules. Don't bring cameras on rides unless you have permission to, and like things like that. Like, don't trespass. Like, don't do it. You don't want to get in bad. Especially your home park. You don't want to get in bad with your home park when you're just getting into photography.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's like, and also, not even like, if you break the rules, don't even think about what you're doing to yourself. Think about what you might do to someone else, because, like, when we mount a camera, we've got the rigs that are meant for these things. Not every wrist mount is meant for roller coasters. Like taking a GoPro on a roller coaster is a huge risk to yourself and other people. So yeah, don't do that. Don't break rules. That's a big one.
Yeah.
I guess that goes without saying. I meant from a photography specific standpoint. Obviously, we don't condone rule breaking. We don't condone filming on rides. We don't condone flying drones over the parks illegally. Although did you guys seen that Six Flags New Orleans doc on Amazon Prime? That thing's crazy. Yeah. That's super.
I have not gotten to watch it yet. It's on my list. It's just college student life. It's not made watching stuff friendly.
You're doing college wrong.
I know. I had a 3-hour lecture this afternoon. Give me a break. No, I'm trying to think, because I get where you're coming from. Like, I don't know if I like. See, the best way to learn is to make the mistakes. Like there's simple photography stuff like framing and composition and learning all your settings, but you're going to learn that.
Changing your ISO when you're done shooting indoors.
Shut up.
Seems like we got an issue there. But what's the biggest piece of advice you could give for somebody who wants to film or shoot roller coaster photography?
I don't know. What do you think, Jack?
The big one I always lean towards, and I talk to people too a lot, is in the grand scheme of things, gear doesn't matter. If you can't take a good picture with a point and shoot camera, you're not going to be able to take a good picture with a Sony.
All right.
Like that's like, don't spend the $2,000 to get a Sony. Like learn it on something. Like I learned on a $500 what I'd call soccer mom camera, and then I bought the $2,000-$3,000 monster camera after I knew what I was doing. And I still will throw in a picture from the old camera every once in a while. No one can tell because, quite frankly, like quality, Instagram's going to kill it. Twitter's going to kill it. You can't tell a difference. The only time you're ever going to be able to tell a difference is if I print it on a billboard, and then you're going to have to stand close to it. So the big one I always say, gear doesn't matter. It's your craftsmanship, your skill level. And I'm also not saying that to like discourage anyone. It's just put the hours in, put the practice in. You'll see the improvement. Go look at my archives. It's noticeable.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, take the time and learn. I mean, when I was learning videography, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos. I was, watching a lot of tutorials. If you have friends that do it, I mean, just ask them, hey, this is what I want to do, it's especially depending on your budget. You know, you don't have to go crazy with a camera, like you said. You know, get something that's good. You get a good point and shoot for a reasonable price, or heck, even just learn on your phone. You know what I mean? And like
That's
because you can take a great photo on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
So
I love
especially if it's just for social media, like you said.
Yeah, and like I'm not saying because like the gear doesn't matter. It's like eventually, yes, there is a point where you're going to want a better camera. So I'm not saying don't want a better camera. I'm saying there's a process to like almost I feel like you got to earn that better camera. For me, I knew it was time to get a better camera when I picked up my old one and I was trying to do something and I Googled it and my camera like was physically incapable of doing it. Like it did not have the processors or the equipment in it to do what I wanted it to do. And that's when I knew it was time to upgrade, was when I was like, I want to do something that's more advanced than this camera can handle. And then you get a better camera and I was like, okay, jump to this one. And I'm still learning some of the things that this camera can do, like how to change the ISO after you leave the Velocicoaster queue. The story behind that, just real fast, is there's a game that Scott turned me on to. It's his own invention, I'm pretty sure, where you're trying to get a picture of
with
the
you in mind.
Velocicoaster. Yeah, so you're trying to get a picture of the Velocicoaster train through the windows in the queue as it's shooting down the launch, and you're trying to get it like perfectly sharp and in frame with the rider expressions. And when you're shooting in there, it's a dark environment. You got to crank your ISO up since you've got your shutter so fast. I swore after we got off Velocicoaster and I got my camera out to take some pictures outside that I cranked the ISO back down to a normal level. I didn't. And so everything I shot that day, for reference, for people who don't know, you probably shoot between like an ISO 200 to 400 outside. I shot the whole thing at 12,000.
Nice.
So everything just looks like a grainy, blurry mess.
Oh.
Yeah, I wasn't happy with myself that day.
It's all good. That's the good news is in this hobby, you will be back at Universal.
Yes, I will.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so like presumably multiple times. So you'll be fine. You'll get to turn the ISO back down, and it's a mistake you'll never make again.
Oh, you'll never make it again. It's this little knob right here. That's what does it. All you gotta do is roll that down a few times.
I love it. All right, I want to get into a little bit of rapid fire, but maybe some discussion here. And it's about you guys' favorite photos or videos or projects you've worked on. And Scott, I will start with you. And I know this is probably like picking a favorite child or picking, a favorite, something you can't pick a favorite of, but do you have a favorite video you've shot or project you've worked on of your own?
I've like
outside
thought about
this is how we roll, because that's phenomenal. Yes. And I'm DQing it from being answered here.
So I'm gonna say, I took this photo. I had a time lapse camera that I put up on top of Outlaw Run, and there was a giant turkey vulture that came and flew and landed on the top of Outlaw Run while the camera was going, and I was able to get a still from that of it like coming in, and then landing, and then it like sitting up there. So I think about like a single photo that was like, wow, crazy timing, like just ridiculousness. Like that was probably one of them that's always stuck out. Oh, excuse me. I've got no voice from literally just being an idiot on Amphicars for the past however many days I worked. Anyways, and then like as far as video, oh man. I mean, some of the lightning rod like suspension stuff I always thought was super cool, and the Goliath ones. But that was more for RMC than anything else, which also kind of made it cool because it was a very technical shoot. But just the whole, mounting the cameras, going there on basically a prototype roller coaster that hasn't opened to the public yet to help them try to get it working better. And not only did I get to do some cool video, but I also kind of got some insight of just how hectic it is trying to open a new ride, especially a ride like that. And just seeing kind of the behind the scenes, it's like, wow, like that is just a total nightmare. Those guys don't sleep. Like they're taking phone calls at 2 a.m. It's like, oh. So props to them, but yeah, that shoot always just, and it also meant a lot, because it was, it was a big deal. And, RMC even said they're like, why don't we hire somebody that's local instead of having to fly Scott out, and cover his transportation. And all the RMC guys were like, no, like it's either Scott or nobody. And Fred is like, okay,
that's pretty high praise.
That's it. Yeah, so they literally were like, we don't want to work with anybody else. I mean, that was like crazy to me. So that was, just kind of one of those moments. Yeah.
And then Jack, your favorite photo you've ever taken, and since I DQ'd something from Scott, I'm DQing the Mystic Timbers photo that won the Coaster101 photo contest a couple of years ago.
Okay, I mean that's not even my favorite anymore, so it doesn't that doesn't work that well. Okay, so I'll give my it's that one right there. Okay. That's the answer. So it's hard to see, I know, but it's pretty obvious once it. Yeah. So that's I call it Hallow. It's the sun setting behind the quad down on Lightning Rod.
I love it.
It was probably the most luck I've ever had getting a photo, because if you're the background of that is the sun doesn't set the same place every day. That's astronomy and physics. It changes where it sets every single day. And so you had to be at the park on the right day of the year for the sun to set there. And the other thing people don't really know about East Tennessee is we don't get good sunsets that often. The only time you'll ever see a flaming orange sunset in East Tennessee if there has to be a wildfire happening out west. Because for what happens is all of the smoke from the fire floats across the country and just kind of settles in the Appalachia region. And we get these really hazy, flaming orange sunsets at night. And they're beautiful. You have to ignore the fact that they were created by mass destruction out in California, but they're beautiful.
Nice.
Yeah, it's super sad, but that's what has to happen. So the sun has to be setting in the right spot. There has to be a huge amount of haze in the area for the sun to even look like that. And I was at the park by myself that day. I was just bored. I was like, I'm going up to Dollywood. Bye, parents. And I'm walking around, and I remember walking down Craftsman's Valley, and the sun's over Lightning Rod. And I had to look like the biggest nerd, because I just put my hand up, and I just started arcing it down how I knew the sun would set, and it just fell right behind the quad down. And I didn't move for 2 hours. The sun wasn't setting for 2 hours, but I didn't move.
Wow.
And I rolled that shot off, and I sent the picture of my LCD to a couple people. And all I got back was, what? And then I got home that night and I edited it and I started sending it to people. And it's quickly become one of if there's a single photo that a lot of my friends are like, that's your best one, that's the one they say. And then for me, it's got a lot of sentimental value, because that was also around the time I was really starting to dive deep into TMP and what it could become. And so taking that picture was just an epic moment. And yeah, it's I'll tell people today, I think it was, it's July 22nd. If you ever want to try to recreate it, it's July 22nd when the sun sets behind Lightning Rod. But I don't know if it'll ever be able to be recreated, just because the conditions were so perfect that day.
Nice. All right, and now I'm going to put you guys on the spot, but you're going to hype each other up. And Jack, I'm going to lead with you this time. What is your favorite thing of Scott's? Favorite, project, photo, video you've ever seen of Scott's? And Scott's ears just poked up. So, Jack, be nice.
So I knew this question was coming, and I've got his Instagram open on my second monitor, just scrolling through everything, because let's be honest, Scott takes a lot of really good pictures.
This is true.
I can't tell you how many times I've stolen ideas from him for pictures. All of my Cedar Point sunrise photos, they were because I was jealous that he got Cedar Point sunrise photos, so I had to go take Cedar Point sunrise photos. There's no coincidence and how fast that happened. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 answers because I've got 3 that just popped to mind. One, is a still from the Voyage POV as you're coming over the first airtime hill and Thunderbird is spread out in front of you. Oh, that picture. We printed it on a couple of things recently and it looks amazing. If you ever get a file transfer from Scott for like he sends me POVs to edit and pull stuff from, the picture that greets you is this, and it's probably the most epic still out of a POV. It's probably the coolest single frame out of any POV ever. Second one, also from Holiday World, is the reverse on-ride POV of Thunderbird watching it launch. I have a GIF of just watching it launch because it's mesmerizing and it's my favorite angle ever. And then third, and this is the one where I'm like, but I'm going to give the third one. There's just so many, Scott. Why did you have to take so many good pictures?
I don't know. I should start taking bad ones.
Please, that would make my life easier. I mean, what? There's so many. Oh my God, Scott. Why do you have to? Oh, actually, no, I know. It goes back to that lightning rod sheet he was talking about. I remember when he posted the GIF of like the undercarriage shots. I still have that saved. I still send it to a ton of people. I still will send it to myself every once in a while because it's so mesmerizing. So
nice.
Yeah, I just like that slow motion of the wave turn that I got.
Oh,
that one just came to my head when you said lightning rod. I was like, oh yeah, that was one of my favorites of all time.
Nice. And Scott, what's some of your favorite work of Jack's?
Oh man, of course, that stupid sunset photo gets me every single time. That's literally the photo that I send to friends, like, yo, check out my new intern. Like, and I send them that photo and they're always like, whoa. I'm like, I know. But and I remember when you posted that photo too, because I was almost angry that I didn't take it myself. I was like, that is the most stunning, like, I was like, wow, like who, like, because I saw it and I knew it was your photo, you know what I mean? But like I still looked just to like clarify, like, yes, this is Jack's photo, just because it was so good.
I remember people were messaging me like, you had to fake that, right? Like, you faked that, right? And I'm like, no,
yeah,
that is real.
no, that's absolutely real. No, you don't fake stuff, man. And that's like, and I love that about your photography. I'm again also going through your Instagram to try to find like a couple more too. I mean, any of the Velocicoaster Nitros open, there's a lightning rod photo, of course, we were just talking about. Man, there's just so many good ones. And of course, the Silverwood with the sun, kind of a similar shot. And then I always like this shot that you got that's looking backwards down the brake run of Wildfire at the sunset. I love that shot. Oh my
God, I love that shot too.
Yeah, that's a great one. So I think those are like my favorite. But I mean, again, it's like I can't pick. It's so tough. I mean, of course, my number one is your stupid sunset shot with a lightning rod, and I hate you. But anyways, great photo.
Random one that, like, I have to like mention because I absolutely adore is the Goliath silhouette I got this summer in Chicago.
Oh yeah, that one is amazing.
And I don't know if I've told this. I think I might have told it on my podcast. But I don't know if it's been like out there. I fell in the lake to get that. I fell into that stupid pond getting that photo, and my camera shot up over my head as I went into the lake, and I come trudging out of the, like, because it's kind of like over a little wooded area where I got that shot, and I come trudging out. My dad's just sitting there at the car and just laughing because I'm covered in mud.
Well, Scott, you did touch on it. I want to talk a little bit as we kind of wrap this podcast up. You guys have kind of formed a business partnership. Jack, you're going to be working for Scott as kind of an intern, kind of combining the Upstop and Thrilling Moments empires into one super roller coaster photography colossus. How did this partnership come about?
Oh, that's our new tagline, by the way. I mean, I've known Jack for a couple of years now, and I've also been following his photography for years. And just when I see somebody like Jack, that's just so young and not just talented, but like his photos get better every time he takes one. Like the drive is there, the passion is there, and I've always been so impressed by his work. And I remember one day I was talking to him, and I was just like, you know what, man, like, if I ever get Upstop Media to the point that I can hire somebody like full time, like it would be you. You know, you'd be the guy. Like I just, you know, your work ethic, everything else. And then he was like, you know, what about like some sort of internship? And I was like, I'd never thought about that, you know? So I was like, you know, let's talk about this. So, you know, we kind of got to talking and kind of, you know, met in the middle of kind of what's going to be beneficial for both of us. And that's where we're at.
Yeah,
And
we started. So like flashback for me because I started all this thing, and it's like, okay, who do you follow on social media? And at that point in time, Scott was one of the big ones. Other people out there, Bob, Bob's BK photo page on Instagram, another big guy. I always
he's
in the
awesome.
industry. He's awesome. Love him.
Bob's
and
great.
Yes, love Bob. Bob, I need to talk to him. I haven't talked to him forever. This is and so I'm getting into this, and you follow all their work, and then I remember the day Scott followed me. I was like, "Holy crap!" Because I was like, "What the heck? I'm just a little like nobody at this point in time."
It's weird. I felt the
And
same way when Scott followed us and me.
But I felt that way when you guys followed me.
Oh my gosh. We all love each other. It's great.
And then we started to get to know each other, I guess back in 2020. And then throughout 2021, we kept crossing paths and we kept talking. And then we were talking one day, and I was like, "What about an internship? Like, what would that look like?" And it just kind of spiraled from there to the point where we are now. We talked about it for a lot longer before we made any announcements about it. It was in the works for several months. And then we kind of got to where we wanted it to be, and it's like, okay, let's do this thing. And we won't go into too much detail because we're still trying to work through some of it. We've got a ton of stuff planned. Like, I look at what we're doing over the next 12 months, and it's hard not to just like get up and start jumping with excitement because some of the stuff we're going to get to do is incredible. Some of the things are like huge bucket list items for both of us, hopefully getting crossed off this year.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's been incredible so far. Like everyone that knows, everyone that's seen it, the reception has been amazing. I think my parents are finally starting to realize that maybe this isn't a crazy idea and this could turn into something that could actually be like a long-term career.
Yeah,
hopefully.
You never know.
That's awesome. It is, you know, Jack, you and I, we were Scarewinds in like September. You were kind of telling me that something like this may happen, and I was like, this makes so much sense. Because again, I let off the show with this. I mean, you guys truly are two of the best in the game right now. And you're not only the best photographers in the game, you're actually, good, decent people. And so I love it when good things happen to good people. And this is a really good partnership that I know that the coaster community at large is probably going to benefit from, which everybody wins in that scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Andrew, I'll be completely honest. When I hinted that something is probably going to happen, we are like at that point in time, it was well into the works.
I figured it was.
Like, yeah, it's been an amazing process. And it's like you said, it's going to be great I think for both of us. Scott gets to deal with me on the road for Lord knows how long, so we'll see if his sanity survives.
Yeah, right. You got to deal with me, buddy.
Yeah, I think we're both probably going to end up in the insane asylum by the end of the summer, let's be honest. But really, though, it's huge. It's like you said, I hope it's good for everyone, because one thing I've always told myself, especially when I started doing photography all the time, was don't forget who you're creating for. Because I struggled there for a while. I was like, am I taking pictures for me or am I taking pictures for Instagram? And I remembered to start taking pictures for me. It helped a lot. And then it also actually helped me enjoy other people's reactions more. Because it's like, I enjoy the pictures, they enjoy the pictures. And I think the two of us coming together, we both have this insane creative drive to just create the absolute best thing that's possible. And with that creative drive, we've already come up with a couple of insane ideas for things we want to do this year. I mean, when we were talking about them, we're like, is this even possible? Are we even like, is this doable? And it turns out some of them might be. And just with that, it's gonna be. I can't talk about it, but it's gonna be so cool.
Yeah,
All right, we'll talk off podcast maybe if you guys will indulge me after we're done recording. But I've got one last question for you, and I've got this is business endeavors aside. What is the one shot or video that is kind of your white whale that's like a bucket list shot for you that you have not been able to create?
Look, my bucket list, absolute.
Like, I know that's a tough question. I kind of sprung that on you, but this is like your shot that like you think would be the be all and end all of shots that you haven't been able to accomplish yet.
I have so many, so I will, be perfectly honest. I have, a notes thing on my phone that is literally just called the bucket shots. And it's all the pictures just listed out, whether I've seen someone else take it or it's an idea and I've figured out it's possible, like with Google Earth or something. And there's a whole list. But picking up, one off.
Give me a couple of them then, Jack.
Okay, so big ones, and the couple of, so these are just a couple that come to mind. I'm going to try to think of one that's really up there, but one of them is I want to get a camera on drop line at Dollywood, and I want to do it at sunrise. Again, got to pick the perfect day of the year, hope the weather's right. Sun rising, behind the mountains with Wild Eagle in front of it. It's a shot. It's possible, but everything has to be perfect. There's one. Another one, I want to get a camera up on the Beast at Kings Island. I want to get a front row POV shot going over the top of the first lift hill at sunset when it's foggy in the fall. I've had a ride like that, and I saw it, and I was like, I need that in the picture someday, somehow. Those are two that come to mind. I'm going to try to think of, the ultimate shot, though, while Scott goes.
Oh, yeah, I'm still thinking about it. I mean, I would love to get a camera on Velocicoaster, and that to me would just be insane. Just the amount of crazy shots you could get from on that ride would be incredible. I guess there's a lot of classics out there that I want to get. I want to get Mindbender at Edmonton. I want to get Olympia Looping, so a lot of the Schwarzkopfs I want to get. And then a lot of the classic wooden roller coasters. Actually, my all-time bucket lists, classic roller coaster, just to ride in general, is the one up in Vancouver roller coaster. So I would love to not only ride it, but to get to film it too.
I've got two. One of them is it. The other one is another one that I just want to try. If people haven't figured out now, I have an obsession with putting the sun behind things. Lightning Rod, Silverwood, there's a couple of them I haven't even posted yet. There's my evil laughs as I hold them over people for as long as I want. But the shot I really want is the sun rising behind Cedar Point. And there's a place where you can go to get the shot of the sun coming up behind Cedar Point. Use the right lens, and the sun will be as big as the entire park, and every single ride in the park would be silhouetted in front of the sun. Again, need to get on the calendar and figure out the date ranges where that would work, and then go get out there at I think you have to be out there at 5 a.m. So
you've done the research.
That one. I have done the research. There's a couple of these that have Google Docs dedicated to the research and when can I make this park, or when can I make this happen? And some of them it's just I don't know if this is the year or not, but it will happen at some point down the line. The other one, and Scott, I hope I'm not stealing this from you, dream project. We were talking about this the other night actually, is Wildfire at Col Martin. Cameras everywhere, all inches of that ride.
Yeah.
On the lift hill, I don't care. I want cameras all over that thing because I'm obsessed with that ride and I want to do stuff with it.
Oh, for sure.
Do you have any other crazy ones you've got, Scott? Because I'm not joking. I have a list a mile long of shots, but
I mean,
the good news is with this partnership, you guys are going to get those crazy shots and probably many more.
That's what I'm hoping for.
We've got some stuff. It's gonna be good. I'm excited.
Very cool. Well, I want to let you guys plug yourselves. Where can the people find you guys, find your photos, find your videos? Scott, you go first, and then Jack, you follow up after that.
All right. So on social media, it's going to be at Upstop Media. So Twitter, Instagram. And then also Coaster Force YouTube channel.
Love it. And Jack, where can everybody find you?
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Thrilling Moment for all of those roller coaster pictures and hot takes galore. That felt good. I haven't done that in a while. And then also, we'll plug it even though it's not live yet. You should all check out the website when we launch it because it's really, really, really good looking, if I do say so myself. It's going to be, I don't know what the domain's going to be yet because we haven't figured that out, but it's going to be the Upstop Media website. You should all check it out because it looks epic.
Very cool.
Also plugging this, I have to plug this. It's just another Trainless Tuesday. Do that. And if you do that, and I like your pictures, I might, feature them on the Upstop Media website.
There you go.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Just another Trainless Tuesday. Wheel Assembly Wednesday. There's all sorts of these things on social media, so be sure to check that out. I know Scott and Jack are the pioneers of the Trainless Tuesday. I've participated a couple of times. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah, and just real quick to everyone who does participate, I remember when it was just the two of us doing that, and that was only 4 months ago, and now we get on a Tuesday, and we have so many mentions and tags.
It's hysterical.
I have to mute my Twitter now because I get so many of them on Tuesdays, and it's amazing. So thank you to everyone who does.
Yes.
It makes my week every single week.
Mm.
That's awesome. Well, after you follow Upstop Media and Thrilling Moment on social media, be sure to do the same for Coaster101. We are at Coaster101 everywhere you consume the platform. If you're listening to this podcast, we've had a lot of talk about photography and photos and things that are in a visual medium while you're listening to a podcast. We will have an article on Coaster101.com along with all of our great regular content that highlight some of the pictures that we mentioned in this episode, so be sure to check that out. If you're listening and you're not Jack's grandmother, give us a 5-star review. And if you are Jack's grandmother, give us a 5-star review anyway, because we had your grandson on the podcast.
Love you, Gramby.
iTunes and Spotify now are giving you're allowed to rate podcasts, so 5 stars, reviews. We'll start reading reviews on the show once we get new ones. So if you're listening, you've enjoyed this episode, the better reviews we get, the more listeners we get, more opportunities we have to bring on great guests like both Scott and Jack. Guys, I really appreciate your time today. So thank you very much for coming on. Let's do it again sometime.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having us.
So thanks as always to Justin Mabry for our theme music, and we will talk to y'all again soon. See ya.